We're going to have a few people that have asked me to say a few words, but we're going to, before we bring up Bootsy and Tom, Willie Gardner has something to say to everybody. Willie?
Good morning. I hardly know where to start here, but I have a few things I would like to say, and I would like to close it with a prayer. And I wrote down, where do I start? What a great person he was. I don't know if he was never a boss man to me. He was a big brother, and he had that father figure, but even though I was older, but I gave him that authority. I never called him Holger. I always called him Mr. Gantz or Boss Man. Boss Man, I think I was the only one here who could get away with that. There were three of us that were very close with Holger, and I think we kind of like let him know that we were. And that was Rob Sapinski and Mr. Bill Marwick. Those, the three of us, I think he was very fond of us. And he didn't mind letting us know that he was fond of us and proud to have us as part of his team. When we had a disagreement, it was like having a disagreement with a family, which he was to me. I met Holger in 1964. For 48 years, our friendship grew stronger each day. He was a caring person with compassion. I think about the times we used to have our little Saturdays walk, when Holger would come and he would work on Saturdays here until about noon or later. And when he called down, he says, meet me at the Mason Street entry. He was very concerned about this community. Michael Dunn stole a little bit of my thunder. He was very concerned. We would go, start on Mason Street, and we would go around Mason and down to Market Street. And what we were looking for, he was looking for. This was a thoroughfare to the large hotels, the Fairmont, the hotels on the hill. We were at the bottom. But Holger made sure the thoroughfare was clean of graffiti. I said, Holger, you can't be putting paint on these people's buildings. He's all the hell with them. We would black out all the graffiti on both sides. Then we would go down Mason Street because that's the way they left the hotel. He was very concerned about this neighborhood. As Mr. Don spoke, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, the prostitutes were so bad in this area till we had a police station in the security shack that's now located in the garage. That's where they would hold them. He never stopped fighting to make sure this environment around here was presentable, not only to those who were coming, but to us who live here. He had that concern and that compassion. One Saturday, Holger was up on the 18th floor, and I happened to be there because I was putting some little tags on the door to keep the night lights from tipping the paint on the door. And he had the hem of one of the maid's cart. The cart was loaded. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I got complaints that these carts are heavy. I wanted to see for myself. Believe it or not, when I came back to work on Tuesday, Holger had us ordering wheels to try out for the maid carts because he had gotten complaints about them. He was concerned, and yet he was a very stern person. You couldn't just walk up to him and start talking, he'd walk off. I used to call him grumpy. He would walk, leave the cafeteria with one hand in his pocket and he would go down the hallway like this. And one day I got in the elevator with him, I said, do you know, I said, the employees are complaining that you don't speak. And he just grunted. That's all he said. He didn't say more about it. So I guess somewhere along the line, he became a little bit friendlier. an easier person to approach, because he was not a very easy person to approach. Not that he was mean or anything, that was just part of being Holger. So we all loved him for that. And we loved him for the environment that he presented in the hotel. He was very concerned about all the employees. At one time there were 1,200 employees, and I think Holger knew them all by name. If he didn't know them, he thought he did anyway. So, with that, I'd like to go down to some other things. One of the things that he was concerned about, he was concerned about the back of the house as much as the front of the house. He used to say to me, the back of the house is what makes the front of the house look good. He strived to have happy employees. Happy employees are productive employees. And you managers should pick up on that and carry it on. Don't let this legacy die. If you treat the employees right, the employees will treat you right. I worked in this hotel for 40 years, and never a day did I say, I don't want to go to work today. I couldn't wait to get here. Under Holger and other managers that we had, the hotel became a very nice place. We used to call it home, away from home. How many hours do you think you spend in this hotel? And how many hours you spend at home? The 2 days you're off at home, you're not in your house, you're in the streets. But in the hotel, you've got 8 hours in here, and they've got a clock to prove it. So you should think about that. I'd like to close my speech with a prayer. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pasture. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valleys in the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For the Lord is with me. He prepared a table before me in the presence of mine enemy. He anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And David said, Amen. Thank you.